All right, welcome to this particular session. And in this session, I'm going to be talking about data visualization with respect to box plots, outliers, and data interpretation. That's what we're definitely going to be talking about today. So I'm David H. I'm Innocent, and this is also part of our machine learning series for everyone. Now, what's actually the role of visualization in statistical understanding? So basically, if you're watching this video right now, so we enjoy you to subscribe to this channel, like this video, and please do share it across. Now, a lot of what we've talked about here, we've discussed it in some of our practical projects, okay? And what we're trying to say is that when you talk about the role of visualization in statistical understanding, it's something we've already discussed in our project. Now, distribution structure is one of the first things we need to understand, which reveals some kind of shape, the asymmetry or the symmetric skewed by a model, of what the data is talking about. Now, what we are trying to say now is because before you start a data cleaning, or while you're doing your data cleaning, right, you need to understand the shape, how it is. Like we kind of do some visualization, and that's what helps us to identify abnormal data in our data frame. Okay. Now, variability is something that shows how spread out our values are around the center. And that's some of the things we're also going to talk about. And then extreme values are like kind of flag points that, fall far, outside the norm. Data issues also exposes encoding errors, missing ranges, or impossible values. Okay. So visualizing before modeling is something that is very, very important. Now, why do we actually stress on outliers detection? Okay, so I'm just going to be very brief here. So outliers in health data sets, extreme values dictate, means and model coefficients, okay? And then medical data now routinely contains anomalies, lab errors, rare cases, and all of that. So you can actually see something like a value of age of 200. And just like I was telling somebody that in a data set, it's possible for you to open a data set and you're seeing age of 200, which is something that is not really real, right? In that case, is an outlier. You can see a negative blood pressure, or you can just see something that is rare, different from the events. Okay, so all these things are what we call outliers in our data set. Now, what's a box plot? Now, in simple terms, a box plot is a kind of tool that summarizes an entire distribution using 5 statistical values. Okay, so it's something we are going to come across in machine learning. We're going to definitely do so much of that. And a box plot, summarizes an entire distribution using 5 statistical values. Provides some kind of compact, interpretable snapshot of data shape, like minimum, that's the smallest non-outlier value, Q1 25% quartile, that's the first quartile, right? That's, let's say you have a given data set now of ages, right? The minimum one there is what is the non-outlier value, right? And then the Q1 there is the what? Is what we call the 25% quartile interval. We have the median, the middle value, the 75%, which is the third quartile, and we have the maximum non-outlier value. Now, we are going to be talking about some of the components of a box plot. What constitutes the components of a box plot? Now, you can actually see something like this, an image that is shown here, where it contains some kind of whiskers, okay, at the edges. And then you see outliers. Any outlier that you have to identify might be one that is somehow outside of this whiskers that are here, okay? So the box denotes the middle line, which is the median, all right? So the box spans from Q1 to Q3, representing the interquartile range, the middle 50% of the data, the median line, which is kind of the horizontal line inside the box, the Q2 value, not the mean, whiskers, extend to the farthest, that's the non-outlier value, within 1.5 times I, that's the interquartile range of the box. An outlier points, okay, where individual dotted, plots, beyond the whiskers, some kind of require. I'm just gonna say really something very quite simple. It requires some kind of investigation. So one of the things we may want to understand is quartiles. We must understand what quartiles, are. Quartiles, like more like when we talk about quartiles, they divide the sorted data into 4 equal parts, containing 25% observation. So that's why you have the 25%, the median, the 75%, and what that's when you move further, you now get the maximum, right? So most of these quartiles in a data set are resistant to outliers. So think about it as you have a data set that contains values, and then let's say a distribution of weight, right? When you look at this distribution, you get to realize that there could be some kind of evenly split within the data, okay, within 4 ranges. That's what we call what's the interquartile range. So the interquartile range, this is the formula. IQR is equals to Q3 minus Q1. So it kind of measures the spread of the middle 50th, of data in the core distribution. So it's not affected by extreme values or outliers. The larger interquartile range is more variability in the middle data. Smaller interquartile range means that the values are tightly clustered, okay, around the median, and they directly used to compute outlier thresholds. All right. So those are actually very, very important for you to understand. Now, a value outside these bounds is not automatically wrong, right? It requires some kind of domain knowledge to interpret. So what I mean by that is, let's say for example, now you have a value that is outside of your, of this particular range. So you need to know why. Let's say for example, someone that is age 19 is far from someone that is aged 15 years. All right. In that case now, that's just kind of a list example. You have to understand that, okay, this is the reason why you have this kind of variation in whatever distribution you are trying to understand. So if you want to create a box plot with pandas, first thing you need to import pandas as PD, you import matplotlib as PLT, you load the data set, you define your data set as you create your data frame. Then boxplot for age, you can actually plot a boxplot for age to identify the outliers, the age. You put the title, your label, your show. Okay, so what the boxplot shows is that it just spans the interquartile range of the age values, kind of, and then the median line shows the central age. Whiskers identify the typical range. Okay, then dots beyond whiskers are now the outliers, just like we talked about. So df.plot requires matplotlib as backend, and you must always call the plot.show to render. So for you to create that, just like we said, you import it, it gives you kind of a direct array input. Then boxplot age distribution, y label is age in years, x label is the variable. Then pandas, data frame, they are native and they are easy, for grouping with, by parameter, and is best for exploratory use. Matplotlib boxplot, has more control over aesthetics. What it means is that you can add colors, you can add edge color, depending on some of the arguments you can pass inside of the method. So if you want to interpret a boxplot, you have central tendency, right? And that's the median line, okay? And so it's the median line positions, that position is one of the things that reveal that, okay, it's offset from the box midpoint, distribution is skewed, okay? That's if it aligns at the left or something. So variability is when the box is wide, all right? So it has high variability, in the middle. That's kind of long whiskers spread in the tails. So skewness, whenever the median is near Q1, right skewed, median near Q3, then that's what? Left skewed. So box plot across our categories, what do we say about that? You understand? So now this is how we actually declare our data frame. We compare groups, like some of the bi-parameters splits the box plot by category variable, enabling direct comparison. Then also our median lines compare central tendency between groups. So box size compare within group variability, overlap, assess separation between distribution, outliers, group specific anomalies, and become what? Visible. So that is actually still how we construct our box plot. Df box plot column is equals to h by resistance. Then plot h by resistance. Then we suppress the auto type to plot our x label, and then we've got our what? Y label to show. So some of other examples, particularly in antimicrobial resistance, could be when we want to get the distribution of age between patients with resistant versus susceptible infection, or maybe observation, maybe of resistant group mean, group probably is higher. And yeah, variability outliers as well. Okay. So outliers are data points that fall far from outside the expected range of distribution. Just like I said, can have age equals to 200, that's an outlier. So more like impossible values. We can have something like -5, somebody filling it on the data frame, right? So, or maybe age as 300, or weight 800 kg, or abnormal lab reading, or some kind of things that are abnormal. Those things are what we call outliers. So a lot of things can cause outliers. It could be measurement data, maybe error in measurement, instrument malfunction, calibration function failures, or maybe environmental interference, data entry error, or when somebody was entering it, typographical mistakes, maybe somebody's added an extra zero, or maybe some kind of biological event to can cause it. So outliers can have a lot of impact. It can impact the mean, it can inflate the mean by distorting the feature scaling. Regression coefficient can be put towards extreme, values. Distance-based model like k-nearest neighbor or support vector machine are very vulnerable, and the tree-based models are more robust but not immune. So it's good to always visualize our data set before we do what? Before we push it for model training, to be able to identify some of these parameters that are identified to be outliers. So there are a lot of ways you can handle outliers by verifying. We check the records and then properly fill it, or we can remove it. Do df dot drop any maybe outliers. Sorry, depending, we can clip it or remove it from we drop confirm errors. We transform if it is real. Log transform can also be helpful. We initialize or cap values at the main justified bounds to reduce leverage. Or then we use robust models by choosing algorithms that are less sensitive to extreme median-based tree or whatever. So for visualization, Boxplot will tell you the distribution issues. It will tell you, skill data may require transformation before modeling. It will review data entry errors, because sometimes it is important to know that impossible values appear as extreme outliers dots immediately. Okay. Also, unusual observations, genuine rare cases flagged early before they silently bias the model. So some of these are what visualization and data quality entails. So visualization before modeling, exploratory data analysis, and visualization are not optional steps. They are really, really fundamental to the foundation of reliable machine learning pipelines in health research. So after we do our EDA, we visualize, we clean, and then we perform our model. So some of the key takeaways that I'm definitely going to leave with anybody who is getting started with machine learning is that Boxplot summarize the distributions. For example, 5 number summary in a single compact visual, and why quartiles show the spread. We have Q1, Q2, Q3. We divide the data into interpretable segments, and then we have a interquartile measures variability as well, as much as it determines spread, because robust spread measure are unaffected by extremes. Okay, outliers require judgment. So anytime we see outliers, we detect it with what? The interquartile rule. So we interpret it with domain knowledge. And now for visualization, it protects the model. So EDA before model ensures reliability, trust, and what? Results. So actually, those are things that we need particularly to get started with Boxplots in machine learning, understanding outliers, and all of that. So if you actually enjoyed this session, I want you to leave a comment, like, share, and also engage. Thank you.